What is up? And welcome to the Dynasty League Football Special Edition, where we are going through every single NFL division. We are going to the NFC now. We've done all the AFC. We're starting right here in the NFC East with a team that is very familiar and beloved to you, Tyler. But we're not going to start with the Giants. We're going to start in Dallas, and we're going to talk about the rookies that they brought in and the effect that it had on the veterans and all those things. But first, make sure you're subscribed to Dynasty League Football. The premium subscription is absolutely worth doing. We're going to talk a little bit more about that at the end, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But we'll start in Dallas, and there's not a lot broken with the Dallas offense. They did a lot of things right, other than maybe the ankle of their star quarterback. But I think he's going to be back. He's going to be healthy. The Dallas Cowboys, they invested on the defensive side for the most part in their draft, which they should have, other than a late pick in the 5th round. Stanford wide receiver, Simi Fehoko. Any thoughts?
I think you got that.
On Mr. Fehoko.
No, I mean, we don't care about Simi Fehoko. I mean, unless someone gets hurt, we don't want him. We're not going to want him in year one no matter what. Dak is going to be there for a while, so this could be an interesting stash, but that's not an interesting real conversation. He's not the kind of guy I like to take late in my rookie drafts because there's just no chance of seeing anything early. So, yeah, I'll just ignore him mostly and just look at other players. I like the players they have on the offense. They're not going to have the top 3 receivers there forever. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is locked in for the next 3 years and a 5th-year option. Mm-hmm. But Amari Cooper, they have an out in his contract after this year. Michael Gallup is a free agent after this year. One of them is going to be gone. I used to think it was going to be Amari. Now I'm leaning towards Amari was actually good last year. I'm leaning towards they're going to end up keeping Amari, and they're just going to let Gallup walk when his contract expires. They're just not going to be able to afford him. I think he's going to command $10 million or more on the open market, especially with the cap going back up next year. So maybe Fehoko has like a long-term upside, but they could take another wide receiver on day 2 next year. So I'm just not interested in Fehoko. I think the most interesting thing really on the Cowboys is the split between Amari and Lamb. What goes on at tight end if Blake Jarwin can rebound from his torn ACL? You know, how is he going to get the full workload, or is it going to be split with Dalton Schultz? And then running back. I mean, what are we going to get out of Zeke? Is Zeke washed, or did he just have a down year? And then how much Tony Pollard are we going to see? But these are all questions, and the draft didn't really help us answer any of them. Nothing's really changed. We've had those same debates for the last 3 months. So I think it's just we're just going to keep having those debates over the next 3 months.
The best thing I think we could say about the draft is that it didn't complicate anything any further. Yeah. Like you said, there's already some debate on like, okay, we got these 3 weapons and who's going to separate themselves. The tight ends, you know, like, okay, Dalton Schultz actually looked pretty good, but Blake Jarwin's coming back. You know, Tony Pollard, how much is he going to cut into Zeke? But they didn't complicate it by drafting Kyle Pitts or, you know, bringing, you know, somebody, you know, Travis.
Or drafting another running back. Yeah, running back or another wide receiver on day 2 or something.
Right. Kylan Hill or somebody, you know, who Jerry Jones likes those Mississippi State boys. But, you know, I definitely think that, you know, the questions that we had about the Dallas Cowboys are still the questions we have now. And that's a good thing. It didn't complicate anything any further.
Yeah.
So, kind of complicated situation, though, for your New York Giants. And this is a fascinating team for me to talk about because they did a lot of interesting things in the offseason, in my opinion, and brought in some weapons. And then with their first pick in the 1st round, they traded down, picked up some draft capital next year, which is great. Good job, Gettleman. Controversially picked Kadarius Toney in the 1st round, wide receiver. Brought in a running back, Gary Brightwell, in the 6th round. Don't think we care. But the Toney selection, when you factor in the Kenny Golladay pickup, in my opinion, you also have to factor in Kyle Rudolph. What do you think this does? And will Kadarius Toney have opportunity early on in his career with the Giants?
I mean, he'll have opportunity. I just don't know how much, right? Kenny Golladay is the clear one there. I don't really think much of Sterling Shepard or Darius Slayton. So I guess he'll be ahead of those guys. It's going to be a little bit of a mess year 1. I don't know who's going to get pushed off the field. I think we could have a little bit of a rotation, which I don't like. I'm not going to draft anyone other than Kenny Galladay really in this offense. Maybe Evan Ingram in the tight end premium. But Kadarius Toney's more of a long-term play. You're more hoping that he carves out a role behind Galladay as the number 2 option on this team long-term. I don't know how valuable that is. But just given the way this draft fell, you can't ignore him. So you probably have to just take him based on the draft capital alone, even if there's nothing else about him. There's really nothing else that I like. But the draft capital is there. Other than that, and Gary Brightwell, Saquon Barkley struggled with injuries. They didn't really sign a real backup. They just signed Devontae Booker, who is not interesting. So, yeah, he's someone that I would draft with a late pick, potentially, just because Barkley's struggled with injuries the last 2 seasons. So put him on the back of your bench just in case. That's all he is.
I think that's really good advice there. And the reason why I say Kyle Rudolph is because you have to think Kyle Rudolph is going to line up tight a lot in this offense, right? I mean, Evan Ingram
Not
took
anymore.
the most amount of snaps out of the slot out of any of their weapons, wide receiver or not. And Sterling Shepard was second with 295. Kyle Rudolph is going to factor in somewhat, or else you don't bring him in, right? Evan Ingram, like you said, Evan Ingram and Sterling Shepard are not the most exciting options, but they're veterans, and I don't think they're going to just get pushed to the curb. It's going to be interesting to see how quickly Tony can earn the coach's trust and the quarterback's trust to get on the field. I don't have a lot of expectations with Daniel Jones in year 1, but long term, I like it.
First round receivers usually start. Even if they don't get a lot of targets, first round receivers typically start, at least in 3 wide receiver sets, they usually start. So I would lean towards saying he's going to be a starter sooner rather than later, but I don't know how valuable that's going to be. And I don't know if Kyle Rudolph is going to play. I think Kyle Rudolph is just backup for Evan Ingram's injuries that happen, and also other things with Evan Ingram that as a Giants fan, I can't really, Pro Bowler Evan Ingram. That's what he is. Pro Bowler. It shows the Pro Bowl is a joke, but I don't really want to harp on more about how much I don't like Evan Ingram. So yeah, it's a messy situation, but it is what it is with Kadarius Toney.
I really love, watching what the Philadelphia Eagles have done because I think it's very interesting. I'm excited to see how this all plays out for them. But, 2 of the more exciting players with the balls in their hands is Devonta Smith was very exciting last year, and Kenneth Gainwell, who they take in the 5th round. That's interesting too, right? Because, we like Miles Sanders, but we like Kenneth Gainwell. And when I say we, I mean like as fantasy community as a whole.
Yeah, don't include me in that we.
Yeah, but just obviously talk about Devonta Smith, who they took at number 10, but who Jalen Hurts knows from college. But Kenneth Gainwell in this backfield, to me it kind of expresses a little bit of what I'm always afraid of with Doug Peterson, or with this Philadelphia Eagles. I know Doug Peterson's not there.
Doug is gone.
Nick Sirianni is who I meant to say. This Philadelphia Eagles, he wants to have quite a few different options at the running back position.
They also signed Kerryon Johnson off of waivers. So I don't know what the Eagles are doing. I personally think the Eagles are going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. I think they're going to be awful. I think everything about them is bad. Nick Sirianni, I have no confidence in him as a head coach whatsoever. His press conference was awful. I like the Devonta Smith pick. It's great to get a receiver who's talented in the offense. Zach Ertz, I don't expect to be there. I expect Dallas Goedert. They're going to go back to 12 or 11 personnel. They're going to get away from 12. They'll have Goddard as their sole tight end. They'll have Devonta Smith as their primary receiver, Jalen Reagor as the second starting receiver, and then who knows what they're going to have as the third receiver, Greg Ward. It's not going to be someone relevant. Travis Fulgham, who cares? Right. But I don't know. I'm not in on this offense at all. I don't think Jalen Hurts is a good passer. I don't think he's ever going to be a good passer. Yeah, I think they're going to lose a lot of games. The defense is awful. I'm just not excited. I'm not in on Miles Sanders either. He's never been a workhorse back. He's not going to become one now. Kenneth Gainwell, he was drafted in the 5th round. 5th round says backup. He's also has a very similar skill set to Miles Sanders, except he's worse at everything than Miles Sanders is. So the best thing he does is the receiving game, which is Miles Sanders' best trait.
So let me say this.
Get it.
When we talked about the Colts, though, we mentioned Naheem Hines, and Nick Sirianni comes from the Colts, and he was also with Frank Reich when he was in San Diego when they had Woodhead. There's a lot of connections there.
Makes no difference because Jalen Hurts is a quarterback. Running quarterbacks do not pass to the running back. They do not pass to the running back. Jalen Hurts has never passed the running back. He didn't pass the running back last year. He's not going to pass the running back this year. You know, you see what happens on the Ravens. You see what happens with Lamar Jackson. Well, you see that he doesn't pass the running back. Last year, people were scared of Austin Eckler because Tyrod Taylor doesn't pass the running back. And it's true. Tyrod Taylor didn't pass the running back. Jalen Hurts is not going to pass the running back. Russian quarterbacks never do. And I don't care who the coaching staff is. It's not going to happen. So I hate the landing spot for Kenneth Gainwell. This is where I wanted Ramondre Stevenson. That's what I wanted. Someone, a bruising complement to Miles Sanders. So Miles Sanders could play more of a receiving role on limited touches, which is where I think he would excel. And you could have a bruising complement, kind of like what they tried to do with Jordan Howard in the first place in 2019, a bruising complement to Sanders. So Sanders could be that explosive player. But I don't get it with Gainwell. Gainwell is just that, but not as good. So what are they doing? And then they signed Kerryon Johnson, who's old and busted and has a zillion injuries. So what are they doing? What's their plan if Miles Sanders goes down again? You have backfield of Kenneth Gainwell, Kerryon Johnson, and Jordan Howard does not work for me. So I don't get it. I don't know why they wanted a running back whose best trait is a receiver with a quarterback who's not going to throw to him. I don't understand that pick. Again, I think they should have made more of an effort to get more of a bruiser, like someone like Ramondre Stevenson or someone in that mold. So I just don't understand that pick. I don't like this landing spot. My favorite part about it is that Jalen Hurts could be replaced after 2021 with a quarterback who actually throws the ball well. So I'm not giving up on Devonta Smith because I think he's extremely talented. For someone like Kenneth Gainwell, whatever. I'm sad. He was one of my favorite players in the pre-draft process, and I'm just sad about it. That's really all it is.
Jalen Hurts has an elite quarterback behind him in Joe Flacco, of course.
Oh, my God. No.
Then the Washington football team, they add to an already elite defense with Jamin Davis, who I think is awesome. We're not an IDP show. We won't talk about that. But I love what they've done on defense. And I don't know how you feel about matchups and stuff like that when you're thinking about who you're starting or whatever. This Washington defense is going to be the best in the NFL next year.
I think that's not a hot take.
And I'm excited to watch defensive football, and they're going to be fun. And speaking of fun, in the 3rd round, they go out and get Dyami Brown, who I just think is a fantastic, explosive wide receiver out of North Carolina. He jumps off the page to me when I was watching Devontae Williams and Michael Carter. So Dyami Brown, somebody interesting. I don't know what kind of role he has in this offense with Curtis Samuel there. And of course, you got Terry McLaurin, but I like Dyami Brown. And sometimes this is where I say, let's bet on talent.
Well, yes, you should bet on talent. You're going to have one relevant player in this offense, and that's Terry McLaurin. That's who you want on this team. Terry McLaurin, I don't care. I don't care about Dyami Brown. I mean, I care, but Dyami Brown, Curtis Samuel, Logan Thomas's boring targets when you could throw to Terry McLaurin, you're going to give it to those 3 substandard players? I don't think so. I think that Terry McLaurin, we know what Ryan Fitzpatrick does. He locks into his alpha, or in his time in Tampa Bay when he had 2 alphas, or with the Jets where he had 2 alpha type players and, Decker and Marshall, or here when he has, his alpha, Terry McLaurin. You saw what he did with Devontae Parker. back then. But anyway, getting off the track here. Terry McLaurin is going to be the player you want in this offense. For me, the selection of De'Ami Brown hurts, is a big penalty for Curtis Samuel. I'm not as interested in Curtis Samuel after they pick De'Ami Brown. I think that those two are kind of going to cancel each other out. Even though I kind of like both of them as talents, they're not as good as Terry McLaurin, and Logan Thomas is still going to get his oversized volume. They're all fine. It's a fine landing spot. I wish he had gone somewhere where he had a little bit more of a path to playing time. He's kind of going to be the fourth target on the team, at least for this year. So I like De'Ami Brown like you do. This isn't my favorite landing spot.
Obviously wish that, he had gone somewhere with a clearer path. But, Ron Rivera has misused Curtis Samuel in the past and not necessarily given him the type of target share that we wanted. And so could something open up where he gets a role that Cam Sims or Steve Sims did last year and takes advantage of it? Maybe.
No, I don't think so. I think this is going to be one of those teams where you want McLaurin, you want Gibson, and everyone else you don't want. But when I say you want McLaurin and you want Gibson, I mean you really want McLaurin and you really want Gibson, and everyone else just splits up the remainder of the pie. I would go buy Terry McLaurin. If anyone's downgrading, the receiving weapons are crowded. They drafted a guy in the 3rd round. I don't want Terry McLaurin. If you hear anyone talking like that, go buy Terry McLaurin right now. You'll thank me later. You're getting a wide receiver one.
I think that if you ever hear anybody talking like that, maybe dial 911 because they might not be healthy. I
thought that was a good impression, though. I thought it was good to show the people how I really feel about these other players compared to Terry McLaurin. They needed to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the kind of content that you get when you are subscribed to our YouTube channel here at Dynasty League Football. And that does it for the NFC East preview. We have 3 divisions left, and they're definitely coming to you. But look, we're brought to you by Dynasty League Football. It's a great website. Make sure you're subscribed. The premium subscription is going to give you the edge that you need in your race to bring home the championships in your Dynasty football leagues. Subscribe to our YouTube channel here. We are working hard to bring you the best content out there. And look, when you subscribe, you get notifications. You're going to know every single time we go live, which we're going to do a lot. And we're going to take your questions. So a lot of cool things coming. Tyler, appreciate you joining us for this. And we've got 3 more of these to do. Anything else you want to say to the people?
We love you.
For Tyler, DLF, I'm Cal, and we'll see you on the next show.